what is the biggest obstacle for us in our organizing? Now we have a new White House. We have a White House where Barack Obama is different from George Bush. We can get into lots of arguments about what Barack Obama isn't and what he's not doing. But he is talking about a freeze of settlements. And when he met yesterday with 16 leaders of the Israeli movement, including a leader from J Street, he kept that point about a freeze and settlements. That is progress. But what we have is an ossified Congress. And that is the obstacle for change in this country. We know the force that AIPAC has, and it seems to have its own momentum. And we've talked on this panel tonight, it's interesting, about the kind of warmth that we feel in Gaza. And when I came home from Gaza, I felt just an ice-cold bucket on me when I went into Congress. Because people who are liberal and progressive on all kinds of issues, even within the progressive caucus in Congress, are horrible on this issue. Horrible. Not all of them. There are the exceptions. We have the Dennis Kucinich, we have the Keith Ellisons, we have a handful of them. But for the most part, just remember, when the bombs were dropping on the people of Gaza, when the bombs were killing innocent people, they passed a resolution overwhelmingly. What was it, just 5 people who voted against it? Voting for Israel's right of self-defense while the bombs were killing people. Amazing. And then we come back from Gaza, and we in Code Pink have a house that's on Capitol Hill, and we trudge every day over to Congress, and we get in there and kind of hold our nose and start going in the offices. And there they were, voting for another $2.7 billion for Israel. We had just come back, we had just seen the shells, the ammunition, the things that killed the children and the husbands and the wives of our friends, saying made in the USA on them. And here they were, voting without discussion for another $2.7 billion. And we were furious. And they knew we were furious, and so they packed the hearing room so that no public could get in. And we were standing out in the halls. And what do we do to stand in the halls? We yell. I mean, what can we do? So we were yelling at them, do you know that Israel has committed war crimes? Amnesty International. We always quote Norm, what Norm says we do. So, Norm quotes Amnesty and Human Rights Watch, so we quote Amnesty and Human Rights Watch. And we said to them, did you see the reports? They committed war crimes. Can't you at least investigate before you give another $2.7 billion? And they just look at you kind of blankly. And the ones that were nice enough to stop said to us, we're talking about Israel here. That's okay, that's all you need to know. That's all sort of okay. There's no more discussion after that. We're talking about Israel here. And when we said we had committed war crimes, some of them said, I bet they have, and went in and just voted for the money. And then there is your lovely Gary Ackerman, who is the head of the Middle East Subcommittee. A very nice man when it comes to all kinds of things. Social issues, very liberal. But he is in charge of the subcommittee that deals with this issue. And when we went to him, we did sit-ins in his office, we did a blockade of his houseboat, and we told him. And when we talked to him and said, we just got back from Gaza, we have to talk to you, Gary. And we like to call him by their first names just to kind of bring him down a little bit. So, Gary, we have to talk to you. Do you know that there were over 1,400 killed, and most of them were women and children? He said, that's disproportionate. Oh, he said, well, what about the rockets? What about the people killed missiles? So he said, yeah, but that's 13, and this was 1,400. It's disproportionate. He said, there's no such thing as disproportionate force when it comes to defending your country. That's what he said. And we said, but Gary, these are innocent people. And what his answer was? They shouldn't have voted for Hamas. That was the answer. So when I go to Congress, when I go in the halls of Congress, I feel hate. I feel lack of regard for the lives of Palestinian people. And I feel just this sense of immorality and inhumanity. And I contrast that when I go to Gaza. When I went to Gaza for the first time in 2003, I met a Palestinian family whose home had been taken over by Israelis, lived right abutting to a settlement. They had destroyed his olive trees, his orange groves. The home his family lived in for generations. They actually shot a bullet into his 17-year-old son that is still lodged into his spine. His other son was also shot. And this man, I said to this man, I was, so nervous coming to Gaza because my father supports Israel. It's the issue we can't talk about at home. I'm Jewish. And he came to me at the end of the discussion and just held my hand and looked into my eyes and he said, please go home and tell your father there is a Palestinian man who loves him. Now, are there Gandhis in Gaza? There are Gandhis all over Gaza. Every time we go, we meet Gandhis in Gaza who preach love. Now, of course, there are people who hate, and there's a lot of good reason to hate, but it's not the general overall feeling when you are there. And in fact, when you say that you're Jewish, they welcome you. Even when we met with Hamas, they would talk about our Jewish friends. The only thing that Norm got annoyed about is they called him a survivor of the Holocaust. And he said, what, I look like I'm in my 80s? But very warm and welcoming to us, our Jewish friends. We want to work with the Jewish community and make this distinction between the policies of Israel and the Jewish people. I wish that our Congress could make that distinction as well. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and this idea that we wanted to put out as one of the many ideas that are coming out and working together with the groups that are going to do another convoy to Gaza, other boats, is one of doing a massive march, a mile-long march from inside Gaza to the Eretz border. And this is extremely exciting. Our friends inside Gaza are very excited about it, and people in Israel are excited about having a counterpart in Israel that would meet us on the other side. But the only way this would really work is if we have large numbers, big numbers of people. And so we're putting it out, and I think New York, again, is ground zero for this kind of activity. How many? The idea is that it's during the break between Christmas and the New Year's time, when people tend to have time off. It would be a quick trip of 3 days in Gaza. We would be going in through Egypt. Can you raise your hand if you would consider going with us to Gaza on a massive march to break the siege? So let's give a hand to the people whose hands are raised now. You have all signed up, I hope, on the sign-up sheet coming in. Can you raise your hand if you haven't? Okay, please do that, because that's going to be our way to get in touch with you. We are, whether New Yorkers like it or not, going to create lots of committees. We need lots of groups to do outreach, to do fundraising, to do media, publicity, all of the things that's going to go into this massive effort. And we can talk about it during the discussion more. But now is really the time to take this to another level. And if you can't go, maybe you can help raise money for somebody else to go. And there are so many ways. We're going to try and find ways for those who can't go here in the United States to do mile-long marches here as well. I'm sure we can come up with lots more ideas about how to support this effort. But I want to end by saying that I, as a newcomer to this issue, really feel that this is the moment to up the ante. This is the moment to show Congress that there is something beyond AIPAC that is more important, more powerful, and more effective. And that is the morality and the love that we have on our side. So let's prove to our Congress, let's give the White House the backing they need to make some policy changes. Let's give George Mitchell the backing he needs to even go to Gaza and speak to Hamas. He's been to the region 4 times and never even been there. So it is now up to us. It's an issue of mass mobilizing. It's an issue of getting beyond our petty differences in policy. Are we one state, 2 state? You know what? Let's get beyond it. If you're 1 state, great. If you're 2 state, great. But let's work together. Let's lift the siege of Gaza. Let's end the occupation. Thank you.